Hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another Storytime Quickie. Today's Grimm's Complete Fairy Tales tale is going to be number 17, The White Snake. All right. So grab your blankies, your snacks, get cuddly in that bed because we are about to begin another tale. All right. It's a little bit of a late one, but I'll try to make it quick for you guys. That way we can get some rest. And tomorrow I'll be coming back strong. I'll see what I can do tomorrow. I'm not too sure exactly what I'm gonna do. I know I'm not gonna go on a run tomorrow because I want to definitely allow my body to rest a little bit. So I'm probably gonna be doing the gym instead. Um, just heads up on that. I'm not gonna be doing any of that, so I'll probably get home earlier. We'll see. I'm not too sure exactly when I'll be getting off. Because usually I do take care of my sister, which is like a full time job almost. It's not necessarily a traditional job as most people really think about it. But yeah. As of right now, I usually do have to put in my hours and stuff like that. They just recently changed their scheduling as well, so it allows me a lot more time in the mornings to go running, but it also takes away a lot of my hours that I was using to kind of like stream in the afternoons, which I can't necessarily do as much now, at least on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But I could still probably maybe fit in a stream here and there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So we'll see, we'll see what I can maybe hook up. Uh, but my solar eclipse day was kind of okay. I mean, I went on a run. I kind of completely forgot today was a solar eclipse, and it's funny because like I was thinking about it all last week, like nonstop, and then just the day of, I completely had forgotten about it. And as I was going on my run, I was like, "Why are there so many people up here on the mountain?" And like everybody had glasses on. And I was like, "What is going on right now?" And then I remembered, "Oh shit, today's a solar eclipse." Yeah, it was fucking wild, man. It was an interesting morning, very interesting. A lot of people, so many, a lot more than usual. But yeah, it was really cool. I mean, to have company up there. Usually, it's on normal days, it's just kind of like me and like maybe three or four other people that are usually on that mountain. Um, but it's nice to have it kind of crowded a bit. Like I was hearing somebody talking about how nicer that area is compared to like Mar Vista or Marina Del Rey and like areas like that, as far as like hiking trails and shit like that goes, because it's a lot more monitored, it's a lot more clean. There's a lot more money invested into keeping it up to date and stuff. Um, I don't want to talk shit about any other city though, because I haven't visited any of those areas quite yet or been on any of those hiking trails, but it's just what I was hearing in passing from other people that like usually hike up there. So it's kind of interesting to hear their takes. All right, but I've wasted enough of you guys' time on that. Let's get into story number 17, The White Snake. A long time ago, there lived a king who was famed for his wisdom through all the land. Nothing was hidden from him, and it seemed as if news of the most secret things was brought to him through the air. But he had a strange custom. Every day after dinner, when the table was cleared, and no one else was present, a trusty servant had to bring him one more dish. It was covered, however, and even the servant did not know what was in it. Nor did anyone know, for the king never took off the cover to eat until he was quite alone. This had gone on for a long time, when one day the servant who took away the dish was overcome with such curiosity that he could not help carrying the dish into his room. When he had carefully locked the door, he lifted up the cover and saw a white snake lying on the dish. But when he saw it, he could not deny himself the pleasure of tasting it. So he cut off a little bit and put it into his mouth. No sooner had it touched his tongue than he heard a strange whispering of little voices outside his window. He went and listened, and then noticed that it was the sparrows who were chattering together and telling one another of all kinds of things which they had seen in the fields and woods. Eating the snake had given him the power of understanding the language of animals. Now it so happened that on this very day the queen lost her most beautiful ring. The suspicion the, of, stole, of having stolen it fell upon this trusty servant, who was allowed to go everywhere. The king ordered the man to be brought before him and threatened with angry words that unless he could before the marrow point out the thief, he himself should be looked upon as guilty and executed. In vain he declared his innocence. He had dismissed with no better answer. In his trouble and fear, he went down into the courtyard and thought about how to help himself out of his trouble. Now some ducks were sitting there together quietly by the brook and taking their rest. And while they were making their feathers smooth with their bills, there hey yo dog, what's with that slurping? You guys hear that? Yeah, I don't think it activates the mic from that far. The dog is slurping up that water. Hey yo, chill doggy. Block that. All right, where were we? They were having a confidential conversation together. The servants stood by and listened. They were telling one another of all the places where they had been waddling about all the morning, and what good food they had found. And one said in a pitiful tone, "Something lies heavy in my stomach. As I was eating in haste, I swallowed a ring which lay under the queen's window." The servant at once seized her by the neck, carried her to the kitchen, and said to the cook, "Here is a fine duck. Pray kill her." "Yes," said the cook, and weighed her in his hand. She had spared no trouble to fatten herself, and has been waiting to be roasted long enough. So he cut off her head, and as she was dressed for the spit, the queen's ring was found inside her. The servant could now easily prove his innocence, and the king, to make amends for the wrong, allowed him to ask a favor, and promised him the best place in the court that he could wish for. The servant refused everything, and only asked for a horse and some money for traveling, as he had a mind to see the world and go about a little. When his request was granted, he set out on his way, and one day came to a pond where he saw three fishes caught in the reeds and gasping for air. Now, though it is said that fishes are mute, he heard them lamenting that they must perish so miserably, and as he had a kind heart, he got off his horse and put the three prisoners back into the water. They quivered with delight, put out their heads, and cried to him, "Will we remember you and repay you for saving us?" He rode up. He rode on, and after a while it seemed to him that he heard a voice in the sand at his feet. He listened and heard an ant king complain, "Why cannot folks, with their clumsy beasts, keep off our bodies? That stupid horse, with his heavy hoofs, has been treading down my people without mercy." So the servant turned on to a side path. The ant king cried to him, "We will remember you. One good turn deserves another." The path led him into a wood, and here he saw two old ravens standing by their nests and throwing out their young ones. "Out with you, you idle, good for nothing creatures," cried they. "We cannot find food for you any longer. You are big enough and can provide for yourselves." But the poor young ravens lay upon the ground, flapping their wings and crying, "Oh, what helpless chicks we are! We must shift ourselves, and yet we cannot fly. What can we do but lie here and starve?" So the good young fellow alighted and killed his horse with his sword, and gave it to them for food. Then they came hopping up to it, satisfied their hunger, and cried, "We will remember you. One good turn deserves another." And now he had to use his own legs. And when he had walked a long way, he came to a large city where there was a great noise and crowd in the streets. And a man rode up on his horseback, crying aloud, "The king's daughter wants a husband, but whoever pursues her hand must perform a hard task, and if he does not succeed, he will forfeit his life." Many had already made an attempt, but in vain. Nevertheless, when the youth saw the king's daughter, he was so overcome by her great beauty that he forgot all danger, went before the king, and declared himself a suitor. So he had led out to sea, and a gold ring was thrown into it in his sight. Then the king ordered him to fetch this ring up from the bottom of the sea, and added, "If you come up again without it, you will be thrown in again and again and again until you perish amid the waves." All the people grieved for the handsome youth. Then they went away, leaving him alone by the sea. He stood on the shore and considered what he should do, when suddenly he saw three fishes come swimming towards him, and they were the very fishes whose lives he had saved. The one in the middle held a mussel in its mouth, which it laid on the shore on the shore at the youth's feet. And when he had taken it up and opened it, there lay the gold ring in the shell. Full of joy, he took it to the king, and expected that he would grant him the promised reward. But when the proud prince perceived that he was not her equal in birth, he scorned him, and required him first to perform another task. She went down into the garden, and strewed with her own hands 10 sacks full of millet seeds on the grass. Then she said, "Tomorrow morning, before sunrise, these must be picked up with not a single grain missing." The youth sat down in the garden and considered how it might be possible to perform this task, but he could not think of nothing. And there he sat sorrowfully, awaiting the break of day, when he should be led to death. But as soon as the first rays of the sun shone into the garden, he saw all the 10 sacks standing side by side, quite full, and not a single grain was missing. The ant king had come in the night with thousands and thousands of ants, and the grateful creature had by great industry picked up all the millet seed and gathered them into the sacks. Presently the king's daughter herself came down into the garden, and was amazed to see that the young man had done the task she had given him. But she could not yet conquer her proud heart, and said, "Although he has performed both the tasks, he shall not be my husband until he has brought me an apple from the tree of life." The youth did not know where the tree of life stood, but he set out, and would have gone on forever, as long as his legs would carry him, though he had no hope of finding it. After he had wandered through the three kingdoms, he came one evening to a wood, and lay down under a tree to sleep. But he heard a rustling in the branches, and a golden apple fell into his hand. At the same time, three ravens flew down to him, perched themselves upon his knee, and said, "We are the three young ravens whom you saved from starving. When we had grown big, and heard that you were seeking the golden apple, we flew over the sea to the end of the world, where the tree of life stands, and had brought you the apple." The youth, full of joy, set out homeward, and took the golden apple to the king's beautiful daughter, who had no more excuses left to make. They cut the apple of life in two, and ate it together, and then her heart became full of love for him, and they lived in undisturbed happiness to a great age. Wow, great story. I like that one. That was actually pretty cool. My dog is making some hella noise right now. I'm not sure what's going on with him, so I'm gonna check on him. This was a great tale. I very much liked it. I can't remember what it reminds me of too much, but maybe I can talk about it next time. If you are watching from Twitch, please hit that follow button down below. Make sure the notification button is on. It lets you know when I'm going live. All my socials are posted right down below in the bio. Also, I got my Twitter down there. Is usually where I post up when I'm going live and lets you know what time. If you're watching from YouTube, please hit the like button, subscribe, comment. It helps with the algorithms and all that good stuff. I'll be back for another story time soon, I promise. So I will catch you guys next time. And as always, don't be a stranger. Bye. Ooh. Have a good one, guys. Bye.